and it let out this blood-curdling, guttural scream.
On the side of the road, he sees a deer carcass and something eating on it, which he thought was a bear. And as the lights hit it, it stood up. And, like, this gives me chills talking about it. He said it stood up and it had the face of a man.
Hello and welcome to Friday Night Bigfoot Live here at the Bigfoots of America podcast show. I'm your host, Bryan Sawyer, coming at you. Man, we got a crazy show tonight. We're going to be talking about some strange things. The theme of tonight is called The Hollywood Connection. So if you think about it, filmmaking, I just pulled it up on Wikipedia right here. The history of film chronicles the development of a visual art form created using film technologies that began in the late 19th century. The advent of film as an artistic medium is not clearly defined. There were earlier cinematographic screenings by others, like first showing off life-size pictures, still frames in motion in 1894 in Berlin by Ottomar Anschwitz. However, the commercial public screening of 10 Lumiere Brothers short films in Paris on 28th of December in 1895 can be regarded as the breakthrough of projected that's a big word, cinematographic motion pictures. So yeah, the earliest films were, of course, in black and white, under a minute long. It's what we call shorts nowadays, right? Without recorded sound, silent movies, all of that. Wow, consistent of a single shot from a steady camera. And then the first decade saw film move from a novelty to an established mass entertainment industry with film production companies and studios established throughout the world. So I was thinking about that. And then I've got this horror cinema book here, and it blew my mind because when did horror come to play in cinema? I'm thumbing through this book, and I might have shown you this before, but there is a picture I'm looking for right now of, hold on now, and then I'm going to bring my guests in. The creature from right here, a still from Frankenstein and the monster from hell, which, let's see, this was what, 1973? So the Wolfman, Dracula, all of that kind of came before this. But this is a still from Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell in 1973. And what's that look like? Looks like a Bigfoot, if you ask me. So it's like interesting. And we're going to talk about that more in today's episode. So right now, I'm going to bring on my co-host, a couple of wonderful guys. Matthew Sexton, how you doing?
Oh, good. How you doing?
Good. Good to have you on today. Always good to see you. You said that you've been busy lately, so have you gotten out in the woods since last time? Last time we talked to Matt, he had just found some fresh footprints out there. Definitely Sasquatch footprints. And man, those are really good pictures. But have you been out since then?
No, I'm waiting for the weather to break.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's terrible. We've got one more cold snap coming through, I think, starting tonight. And then hopefully by the middle of next week, we'll get some of this stuff melted. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring in a friend of mine, We were shooting a TV pilot show a couple years, actually, when I first started this. So, 3 years ago, called Pizza Monster. And Jake was one of the guests on the show, Jake Goscicki. And we're going to go ahead and bring him in right now. Hey, Jake.
How's it going?
Hey, Jake.
Go good.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Well, first we're going to start because Jake, you and I have been talking for the past. Well, we've been talking for 3-4 years now, but we've been talking the last month or two. You have a film project that's going to happen in 2026. Why don't you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I'm doing a full kind of multi-part docu-series, if you want to call it that. Probably just going to be putting it on YouTube. But what I am doing is that 100% is Bigfoot throughout the state of Michigan. It's going to recite my sighting for the first time. I got my crew that's with me. We're going to go back to the original sighting location of the incident that happened in 2010. I'm going to map it all out for the first time ever. I've never been back to do that. And I figured might as well do it on camera if we're going to do it at all, right? So we're going to take that into account and then spend a couple nights there to do some night investigations. From that, I'm also going to revisit a local area to me in Washtenaw County, where I filmed our 2022 film Woodline. That was more of like a serious documentary on Bigfoot throughout the state as well. This one is kind of more of an in-depth of like, I don't want to call it a documentary on me, but it follows my story of like why I got into it, what I'm doing now, and then kind of just going out in the woods and seeing what I can find for myself. Because to be honest with you, kids, family life, career, I do not get in the woods as much as I want to. So I told myself over this next year, this is my project I want to work on. There's some other things we have in the works as well, but this is my big baby to where like this winter it'll be released, the full multi-part series. And it's looking right now probably 5, 6, maybe 7 episodes. There's a lot of information I want to unpack and put into this. But the reason I wanted to connect with you was I want to open this up to any eyewitness, anybody that has a story from our state, anybody that believes they've had a credible sighting. If you want to be a part of this, please reach out to me. I would love to put you either in an interview, just talk to you, hear your story if you have it. But I want those people to be involved with this. This isn't just for me to solely find success. It's kind of a whole thing of like, it's questions I want answered. And this was a good way I thought to do that.
Awesome. I know I'm getting you connected to one of our eyewitnesses, our season 3 eyewitness, Chad Skolton from Alpena. I'm looking at your list right here. So you say you'd love to have eyewitnesses from Alcona, Alpena, the Presque Isle, Sheboygan, Montmorency, and Oscoda. Is it just limited to those areas or pretty much throughout all of Michigan?
No, pretty much all of Michigan is open. I will be honest, I'm trying to keep it Lower Peninsula, although Upper Peninsula, if you got stories you want to share, 100%, please feel free to reach out to me. The reason, Brian, I kind of did that little surrounded group that I messaged to you was my sighting happened in Montmorency County. I grew up there. I still go there. I got family that lives there. That was where my encounter happened. So the large bulk of this is going to be filmed in that area, which is why I want to hear from firsthand accounts of people in that area, go over timelines. Was there somebody that had a sighting around my same time? Is there people still having sightings today in that area? Really just kind of getting down to the root of what I saw, confirming what I saw, and going from there.
Fantastic. Well, as fate would have it, or divine intervention, I say, we have Matthew Sexton here, and I think he is a prime candidate to be in your film. Matt, of course, has had sightings, Lower Peninsula, Upper Peninsula, but Matt, the one I'm thinking about right now is the one in Luzerne. Would you go ahead and tell Jake about that sighting right now? Can we kind of relive that one?
Oh, all right. Well, my main group I study, I wasn't having any luck with getting a visual. So then I started investigating and finding reports, and I ended up finding 3 separate reports for the same area that were all recent. They were all from hunters getting chased out of the woods. They didn't want them in the woods. So I grabbed some gear and I headed up there. And then when I found a spot on Google Maps that I thought would be a good camping spot. It was close to water. So then I got there, and as soon as I got there, it was totally quiet. It was eerie quiet. I'm like, oh man, I heard of this. This is going to be a good spot for camping. Let's see what happens. And then so I start setting up my tent, and then I'm organizing all my camping gear and stuff. And then out of the woods, this deer comes, and it's running, and it's got like its tongue out of its mouth, and it's huffing, and it's completely exhausted, and it's just standing there, and it keeps looking behind it. It didn't even look at me, and I was gonna stand behind a tree or something to see if I could see what was chasing it, but I couldn't. And then after like 2 minutes of it standing there, it trotted off into the thick brush, and then I had to go down. I ran out of water, so before dark, I ended up going down to the it was like a swampy, marshy area to go get water for the night, and then it was real muddy. So I ended up almost losing my shoe, but I had to get water, so I got water, and then when I was coming back, I seen the deer tracks. And then there was like this little trail that was kind of firm that all the animals were taking. So I'm like, all right, I'll follow this deer. And then just it'd be a good way to get out of there. So then I followed it, and I followed it up to the 2 track. And then at the 2 track, there were like 30 or 40 stop marks from this deer, like like it was in a fight with something. And then I got all excited. I'm like, all right, I can see these tracks. I can go around, and then I can see what it what was messing with it on the other side. I can look for those tracks. And then I heard a stick snap, and then I looked up, and then just to my left, probably I don't know, probably 12 feet away, there was there was like a red Sasquatch standing there, and he was about, I'd say, 10, around 10 feet tall, and he had his legs together and his hands against his sides. And then so I looked up towards the top of his shoulders, and when I looked up, I had to squint because the sun was on him, and I could see his back muscles. It was real thick, and then like by each shoulder blade, it had like dimples because the muscles were so protruded on his back. And then you could see the back muscles roll into the spine, but you couldn't see the spine at all because the muscles were so protruded. It reminded me of a horse. It was just massive. And then it ended up it picked up its right arm. It picked up its right arm and opened its hand, and then it swung its hand around and took a big step. So it went from the left side of me to the right side in one step. And then when it was taking that step, I put my head down because I didn't really want to see the face. And then when it went to the right, I put my head down and I turned to the left, and then I walked back to camp, and then it ran. It didn't run, it just took a big step and went back in the brush. I think they had the deer kill in the brush. I think the group was feeding back there.
When,
Yeah, I've
when
seen
did
a
this
lot of
happen?
what's that?
What year was this?
Oh, geez. Do you remember what year that was? What year did I get the motorcycle?
20, 2020 or 2021?
2020 or 2021.
You said
It wasn't.
Luzerne?
Yeah, in Luzerne.
Okay.
Uh, What is? There's like a swamp there.
Yeah,
I forgot the name of it.
I think Foley Swamp's back in that area, but
That's it.
yeah, that's not terribly far because I was funny enough one of the areas I'm looking at is just on the other side of Mayo, on those old forest trail roads. Um, I had a guy email me not that long ago, a couple months ago, said he found tracks in that area, and I'm waiting for pictures. He said he took them. This is a long time ago on a Kodak, so he's like, I'll try to get the pictures to you, but yeah, I've heard a lot of stories out of Luzerne. That's crazy that you had a sighting like that.
Yeah, it was
Awesome.
wild.
Awesome. Chiming in with the people right now. Brenda Goodwin is watching. George Lunsford, author George Lunsford. In fact, I'm going to be talking about his book here in a few minutes. Something I want to read out it. Tess Eloise says, hey. Nora Scott says hello. Hey, Nora, I will respond to your text hopefully tomorrow. Got really busy today. Yeah, good to see you all. With that said, I have some eyewitness accounts here, and one is from Mayo, Jake. At this point, I'm looking at it. I just want to make sure. Yeah, this person wants to remain anonymous. It was a drive-by with his truck in St. Helen. Is that by Mayo? Is St. Helen by Mayo?
See, I'm not familiar exactly. I'll look it up as well. I mean, it's up in
Okay.
the northern area, but
I think so. Hey, Rebecca Williamson, free says hello. Hey, from Michigan. Yes, hi, Rebecca. I'm actually going to mention something in Jim's book today. You know, we just released on the Bigfoots of Michigan TV series page and Mishwa Bigfoot. The author, Jim Williamson, and pastor, I should have his book here somewhere. He recently passed away. God love him. And he was one of our guests. I don't have his book in front of me. He was one of our guests in, I think he's season 2, is it episode 9, maybe? I think it is. But yeah. So hi, Rebecca. Good to see you. Sherry Redu says hello. Good to see everybody. Yeah, so that is Mayo. All right, so he said Mayo area, and then he mentions St. Helen. But it was a drive-by, Jake, with his truck. Same color as Matthew just said, color of a Highland cow, which is that reddish color. He figured it to be about 48 inches at the shoulder. So he was pretty close driving by, and he stopped, and he got a good look at it. North of Kirtland College by Huron National Forest, coming back from Mayo.
Okay.
He said it was really funny because it looked like a hairy pine tree, but it had its arms stretched out and it was carrying something, and he didn't get a good look of what it was carrying. But yeah, that was not too long ago, that sighting there. So yeah, that eyewitness wants to remain anonymous. Another one, we have another sighting. So let's catch up with some of these recent sightings. Bigfoot in Yale, which is not too far from me. Here, let me throw a definition out there and tell me what you guys think. I tend to think anything in the last 5 years is a recent sighting. What do you think? Even maybe up to 10 years. Because seeing Bigfoot's tough. You know, it's kind of the luck of the draw. And so it's not like something that happens every day. So to me, when I look at all these accounts, I feel like, man, even the last 5 to 10 are kind of recent. But this guy was Bigfoot in Yale. There was an account of a woman going into her barn and there being a Sasquatch in there. And they believe it was the same one when this man was camping. They saw it. They heard this noise. They got inside their tents in the Yale area, and they heard a big commotion, looked out their tent window, and there it was with glowing red eyes. And they just kind of ducked in their tent, and it seemed to move off. So that's in Yale. Oh man, Tammy Holt. I do want to talk to you because, oh boy, I'm trying to be vague with some of this. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Croswell area. Yeah, because this is a very sensitive one. The other day I did a video. Okay, I was out by Cass City. Great encounter there. We're gonna have her probably. That eyewitness there. I was at the location where the Sasquatch was crouching, kind of down like this, on a tree that kind of leaned over the Cass River, and the eyewitness saw it, and she was. Then it stood up, and she swears it could have been anywhere from 10 to 14 feet tall. And what's funny about that is that kind of coincides around the same time as a guy and his daughter got kind of chased out of the petroglyphs where we were, Matthew Sexton, by two Sasquatch shaking trees. And then also Caden Lewis had seen one on the south side of 46. Also Gauss Lefebvre, same color, a reddish colored one out there by Germania Road. So yeah, Tammy Holt, I do want to talk to you to get more details about what you saw in the Applegate Croswell area. But after that, I went to a private location. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, I did all that yesterday, right? Out in the cold. And it was a tough situation. I got to be kind of vague about it. But how can I say this? There was an issue. I got to keep this really vague, where a farm animal died, and there was a lot of blood, and the Sasquatch moved in. It's the episode I call The Garden of Eden, which is The Watchers Among the Trees, season 2, episode 10 or 11. I call that place the Garden of Eden, and there's a whole clan out there. And yeah, so that activated them. And because the first initial sighting of this Sasquatch clan was when they were leaving rabbit pelts and innards from a rabbit meat farm. And then the Sasquatch started to show up. And then there's another instance with the dead animal and blood. And the Sasquatch came in. The eyewitnesses even said they were up in the tree. You know, it was almost like, you know, could have been like a dinner bell type of situation. And I'm going to leave that encounter at that. All right. Chiming in. Red, Brenda Goodwin said red Angus 2, that kind of color. Rebecca says, appreciate you guys. Hey, Rebecca, appreciate you watching. We're talking about the Hollywood connection. Oh, I've got Jim's book right here. Hold on, everybody. I've got all these notes and everything because we're going to talk about this more. Jim Williamson, season 2, episode 9. He just recently passed away. One of the most wonderful people I've ever met. But this is his book, Beyond Science Fiction. And he talks about the connection of possibly Hitler, extraterrestrials, how Hitler had gained technology advantage. You know, they had the early rocket systems, maybe even UFOs, and that goes down to World War II 2.2, which was fought down in the Antarctica. But Jim was also believed to be an abductee, all right? So part of our theme today is the Hollywood connection. And you at home, and people can chime in as you're watching this, let's talk about some movies that are connected to Hollywood, but also deal with what we're talking about today, the paranormal. Go ahead, bring Matthew back in. All right, so off the top of my head, I've said this before on other shows, but I had heard, for instance, for an example, Steven Spielberg had gotten briefed by the CIA. And out of that briefing from the CIA, he made 2 movies, Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. Right there, that's blowing the lid off of things. Well, we know about the gray aliens. When we talk about all that, they're depicted in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Where is this connection at? Well, Jim Williamson was an abductee. And he describes the grays, a general description in his book, as they vary in height from 2.5 to 4.5 feet tall. They have gray, elastic, reptilian like skin. They have an underdeveloped slit for a mouth, small holes for the ears and nose, if any at all. They're 4 to 6 digits, fingers, and the toes are webbed. Fingers and toes are webs, and anywhere from 4 to 6 digits. They have no internal organs as we have, and no digestive or respiratory system. They do apparently have a circulatory system of gray substance that, when open, smells like ozone, with a large pump like organ connected, so very smelly. They have no hair, no sex organs, or even an anus. Wow. Their large, dark, slanted, almond-shaped eyes appear solid black because of the black filament, like a filter over their eyes. That's kind of like reptilian too, like a crocodile has. Their heads are disproportionately larger than their tiny, thin frames. The extreme size of their head is said to encase 2 brains. Oh my gosh. And then that, you know what, that kind of connects with Randy Couture's account, where they kind of dissected the Bigfoot, and it either had 2 hearts or a large heart with an extra ventricle. So are these things aliens or Sasquatch aliens? We think about the Hollywood connection as they, how long has Hollywood known about this stuff? And then do they try to desensitize us so we don't freak out as much by filtering us information through movies? What do you think, Jake?
Oh, you're starting with me. That's not going to be fun. We'll keep this as simple as I can put it.
I can't hear you, Jake. Matt, can you hear him?
Can you hear me now?
It's real staticky.
How about now?
I can't hear either of you.
No? Let me see.
Talking, it's a bunch of static.
That's a Hollywood connection. Jake, I'm trying to see. You can hear me, right, Jake?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
All right, I'm going to try to kick you guys out, bring you back in. Hopefully that'll work. I'll tell you, I just don't know.
Can you hear me?
All right, somebody go ahead and talk. Hopefully I can hear you.
Uh-oh.
Good? No? I can see you.
Not again, not again.
Can anybody hear me?
This is so weird. Yeah, hey, Matt, if you can, go ahead, go out, come back in. Maybe I'll be able to, go completely out and come back in. And then I'll continue on with my eyewitness stories. Let's try this. All right, we're going to go ahead and check in real quick. Sherry Redu says Close Encounters of the Third Kind was the real deal, without a doubt. What was so accurate about the movie was the meeting place, the trading of humans and aliens. This was documented in the military project by a soldier who was dying and came forth with the details. And she says her Native American family will attest to it. Okay, Brenda Goodwin says she can hear everybody. Matthew is staticky. I couldn't hear any of them, either of them, so I'll try to bring Jake back in. Hey, Jake.
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Good? Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, we'll bring Matt back in. But what are your thoughts on that, Jake? Do you think, like, as Hollywood gets information, they kind of give it to us so we're not so freaked out?
I think slowly. And I think not to get into today's world, and especially not to get into politics, but what's currently going on, with the government and the media and everything else, and what has been going on for the past few years, I 100% they know way more than they tell us. There's like no doubt in my mind. I do think certain things begin to slip, and if they slip too much, maybe they throw in some nonsense that isn't real. But how are we supposed to know? And it really becomes that even before the whole age of AI, it's become like, how do we know what is truly there? And like even nowadays, if I see it with my own eyes, I don't really know if that's true. Just with how far technology has come, and I could 100% see like the Steven Spielberg idea of being vetted, or however you want to say it, by the CIA, or questioning them prior to making movies. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that happened.
I don't know if that coincides. Jake, can you hear me? Just nod your head. All right, so I can't hear you again. It seemed to coincide with Matthew dipping out. I guess go out and try to come back in. I've got some more eyewitness accounts to read here. Michael Bale. So we're going to talk about Dogman for a second. Let me find Michael Bale. Now, this is kind of in the Croswell area as well. I'm looking at everything. So Matthew Sexton says all he hears is static.
I'm back.
All right, Jake, you there?
I'm here.
Huh. Yeah, still can't hear you. And it's some kind of miscommunication. I'm going to look at your mic settings. Yeah, you're good. All right, just stay right there. I'll go ahead and read this. Hopefully Matthew can go out, come back in. And when he does, then you might be able to try it. Something's going on. So Michael Bale. So we're talking about Dogman right now. South of Sandusky, Michigan, here in the thumb, kind of getting over to the Croswell area. He was with his family driving, heading to a barbecue. Middle of the summer, there's a road that runs south out of Sandusky called M19. All right, let's try to bring Matt back in.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what's going on. I can't hear either of you. Thought I had this problem fixed from last week. Thought it was my earbuds, but it's something innate with StreamYard. But I'll go ahead. So he's south of Sandusky. There is a dead carcass of something like a deer on the side of the road. And there is this thing squatted down, feeding on it, and almost is holding the deer carcass up and eating it. When they get close enough to it, it stands up on two legs, and it's what he described as a 4-foot young dog man. His wife and kids start to cry, get scared, and they're like, go, 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 go. And this thing kind of runs off across the field. Absolutely terrifying, scaring his wife and kids. And he believes, one of the things I talked about is it ran to a specific tree. And I have recently heard that trees are used as portals. Now this is getting out into the crazy world side of things. But Selena, let's see if we can. Hey, Selena's coming on board. Hey, Selena, you there? Oh, maybe she's trying to come in. But I had heard that trees might be portal or used as portal entrances as well, because with that, I have another my Dogman Prophecies series coming up where I talk about one of our eyewitnesses saw a dogman kind of walk into a tree, and when she went over to kind of check it out, it was gone. All right, well, I can't even hear Selena, so I don't even know what's going on. This is ridiculous. Let me check me, maybe. All right, I'm going to try something, guys. You stay right there.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good deal.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
All right. Can I hear anybody?
Maybe.
Hello.
Wow,
Uh-oh.
that is disappointing. So we got here.
Oh, testing one,
Private
two,
chat.
testing
No,
one,
no,
two.
no, 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 no. Okay, Matthew says he can hear everyone fine. You guys can hear me. You shake your
Yeah.
head. All right. If you want to talk, go ahead and raise your hand, and then I'm going to watch your lips or follow you on my other phone. All right, so that I'm going to go ahead and do all my eyewitnesses then. So that's Mike Bale. He also had a sighting, and he didn't know if it was a Sasquatch or a dog man, but this sighting coincides with a sighting in a church parking lot in Carroll, Michigan that I've talked about quite a bit, right around the same time. But what he saw was between 8 and 9 feet. It's just that a branch that we measured and a footprint we measured was kind of obstructing the dog, well, Sasquatch or dog man's face. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me read these. All right, guys. So get ready to hold on to your seats for a moment because we're going to get a little bit scary right now. Hi, Selena. Good to have you now. Sorry I can't hear you. We'll get it figured out here in a moment. I want to read something out of George Lunsford's book about dogmen. No, Wendigos. We're talking about Wendigos now. So let me pull this up. We've had a Wendigo sighting north of me in the Port Austin, Michigan area. All right, hold on a second. It's in George Lunsford's book, Monsters of the World, page 241. So, all right, here it is. Let's get a little breakdown of the Wendigo. And Selena, Donna Copus knows all about this. So we're going to give this a little bit of a read. The Wendigo is a horrifying creature of the Algonquin culture who devours human flesh to survive in harsh winter. One story says that the first ever Wendigo was a lost hunter during a brutally cold winter. The man's intense hunger drove him to cannibalism, and then after feasting on another human's flesh, he transformed into a crazed man beast roaming the forest in search of more people to eat. In another version of the story, the first Wendigo is said to have been a warrior who made a deal with the devil in order to save his tribe. He gave up his soul and was transformed into a Wendigo. When peace ensued, there was no need for such fearsome creature, and the warrior was banished from his tribe and forced to live as an outcast. All right, well, I've got a story north of here, Port Austin. The eyewitness wishes to not be named, and let me find it here. Here we are. So this is a tough story. There is death involved. So at a particular location, yes, there's cemeteries involved. There's water involved. He lived at a certain, I'm trying to keep everything vague because he doesn't want the location known either, because it's an old location with a history of activity. Port Austin, UFOs, orbs, everything you can think of has happened at this location. So this guy was in a camper that was attached to the rear of his pickup truck. He saw this thing up close. He discharged his 12 gauge shotgun into this Wendigo. So he saw the antlers, he saw everything. He was point blank range away from this thing. It was reaching its arms out, shaking his camper, at least 7 feet tall. He said this thing looked like it was all chest and arms. And when it screamed, there were multiple tones in its vocals. You know, when it screamed, it just sounded like otherworldly, multiple tones. And he feels in that area, there's like a death cloud. And in that same area, in one particular house, they were attacked by certain what he referred to as shadow people. Um, Even the reference of legion that's in the Bible, multiple high level entities. Yeah, he said single shot, 12 gauge, 3-inch buckshot. All right. 3-inch shell buckshot right into it. And all it did was cause it pain. It didn't bring it down, but it chased it off. It had slapped the lights off. And he said he's never been back in that location. His this is a tough story because his fiance passed away. He became sick. He says in that area there's a lot of limestone and quartz. And he said, I liked how he phrased this. It said that area seems to hold on to the past like a magnet. So evidently in this area that I'm talking about, there is a lot of dark history in the past. I'm going to do a drive-by soon. I know right where it's at. Been through there. Derek Grimm and I have been through there. So I'm very interested to do a quick drive-by, if you know what I mean. So that is the story of the Wendigo. Let me get to my last one. Okay, Robert Anderson, Brenda Goodwin, if you're still chiming in. This is in your area, Brenda Goodwin. We're out in Jackson County, if I'm correct. Yeah, kind of out by Kalamazoo. Yes, I know, Brenda. It must be me. I can't figure it out. Last week, if you want to get back out while I'm talking and try to come back in one more time so I can hear you, that would be great. Selena and Jake. And then hopefully
I'll
I
give
can
it a
hear
try.
you guys go all the way out and come back in. And then hopefully I can hear you then.
Okay.
Nora Scott says, my cat is growling at the dog, barking, looking out the doggy window, vicious kitten. Okay, Matthew Sexton chimed on out. He said, the static is so bad that he can't hear. And he says, good luck, guys. Hey, Selena, try to go like all the way back out and then follow the link back in. And hopefully I can hear you and we can talk about your situation finally. All right, we're going to deal with Robert Anderson out of Jackson County here in Michigan. Kalamazoo. All right. Hey, Jake, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, man. No. What a bummer. What a bummer. Stay there, though. Well, let me read this other account. So Robert Anderson, Jackson County, Michigan. He was deer hunting with his sister on their property. They're starting to also clear out the property. They wanted to build a home. And they heard that the first instance was they heard a strange growl from the back of the property line. And they noticed from time to time that brush piles were being moved. Like they clear out a section and then the brush pile they had would be moved. His first instance was he was cutting the lawn. This is similar to another friend of mine. He was cutting the lawn, and all of a sudden there was a 6-foot male Sasquatch who he has now named Junior, a dark brown Sasquatch with brown eyes, brownish skin. It was standing there showing its teeth to him. And this was his first encounter. He got scared and kind of took off. And this is after they built the house. Then the next sighting was a juvenile female close to about 6 feet tall. Then he saw a different Sasquatch, and he says he figures the clan, there's anywhere from 9 or 10 members in the clan, and he's only seen 2 or 3 at a time. But he saw this female, it was close to 6 feet tall. And then he saw a 7-foot male, which was standing watching the deer. And then the deer ran by him and the Sasquatch went after it. Now, this 6-foot male named Junior later grows up to be the new alpha male of the group. It's about 8 feet tall. And then also the newest member of the family clan was a 3-foot tall, light colored juvenile. And it's gotten to the point to where they don't even care if Robert's there. In broad daylight, they'll walk right past Robert because they know he's not a threat now. But the only kind of run-in, there's Selena. Hey, Selena.
Hey, can y'all
Well,
hear
it's
me?
got to be on my end. I still can't hear you guys. I'm going to finish reading this. He's had no bad interactions with the clan except for 2 younger males got aggressive one day and were throwing things at him. And they were very close to his house, and he finally had to go in the house. And then they ended up leaving him alone. He thinks they probably wanted to do something and they didn't want him around. So that is in Jackson County, Michigan. That is actually over a period from 1991 to just recently. So a period of 3 decades that this man has known this Sasquatch clan, 9 to 10 different members. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. All right, guys, I'm going to try to see if it's me. You stay right there this time. I'm going to bow out, come back in. We'll see if that works. Hopefully it doesn't kill the show, but we're going to find out.
Okay, thank you. My name is Selena. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Jake.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry about that. I can hear you good.
All
Yeah.
right, perfect.
Let's see. I guess it never hurts to plug first, just in case.
All right. Well, I no longer have my earbuds in. I don't hear either of you. You can hear me, though?
Yeah.
All right. This has
Testing 1, 2.
happened too
Yeah, I
many
can hear
multiple
you.
times, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there. But I don't know what to say, but we'll probably end the show and try it again another time because this has happened multiple times now. And so it's got to be on my end, and I don't understand why.
Well, it was so good to see you.
All right.
Finally.
You can still hear me.
Yeah.
All right. Man, I just don't know what's going on. I've got nothing on my end that's saying anything's wrong.
It was still nice to meet you.
Well, Selena, let's get together on the phone. We'll talk, okay? And then we'll get you set up on the show. I think I'll hold off on the live broadcast. I'll do recorded broadcasts, and that way I can control more things. But no, Jake, man, thanks for partaking. Yeah, 48-minute show, not bad. You didn't get to say everything you wanted to say, so my apologies. Selena, I will get a hold of you on the phone. And hey, everybody
Okay.
at home, thanks for watching. We gave it a try. But as always, stay tuned for more of the Bigfoots of America podcast show. Give a big wave, everybody. And I'm going to end it. Bye, guys.